Welcome back to Life Unfiltered. You know the show where we kind of dig into those tricky topics that life throws at us?
Yeah, get real about it.
Exactly. So today, we're going to be talking about something that might seem a little bit strange at first.
A little counterintuitive, you might say.
Yeah, it's this idea of looking poor. But hold on, before you click away, hear me
Mhm.
out. This isn't about actually being poor, obviously.
No, no,
It's more like
a mindset shift.
yes, a financial strategy, even you could say, about aligning like your spending with what actually matters to you.
Yeah, it's about focusing on the things that bring you true wealth and happiness. And sometimes that means letting go of those flashy outward appearances.
So true, because like think about it. Our society is obsessed with this idea of wealth as like,
Bling.
yeah, bling. So,
You know, the fancy cars, the designer clothes, the huge houses, it's all about showing off what you've got.
right, and we're constantly bombarded with these images. Like, just think about it for a second. What pops into your head when you hear the word millionaire?
Yeah, you probably picture someone dripping in diamonds lounging on a yacht, right?
Totally. But is that really the reality for most millionaires?
Not necessarily. There's this whole other side to wealth that we don't often see. It's called stealth wealth.
Stealth well.
Yeah, it's about millionaires who choose to live modestly. They prioritize financial freedom and privacy over showing off their riches.
So it's like they're flying under the radar, living a rich life in terms of experiences and opportunities, but without all the outward trappings.
Precisely, they understand that true wealth isn't about proving anything to anyone. It's about having the resources and the freedom to live a life of purpose and meaning.
I remember reading about this tech mogul who built this like billion-dollar empire, but he still drove this beat-up old car.
Really?
And someone asked him about it, like, why? You can afford any car you want.
What'd he say?
His response was so good, he said, because I don't need a fancy car to tell me I'm successful.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
That's the essence of stealth wealth right there.
It really makes you question our priorities, right? Like, why are we so focused on these external markers of success?
It's a good question. And I think it's especially relevant for young adults today. They're growing up in this world where social media is constantly showcasing these picture perfect, curated lives.
It's so true. It's easy to get caught up in that comparison game and feel like you need to keep up, even if it means going into debt.
Absolutely. It creates this pressure to project an image of success, even if it's not your reality yet, and that can be incredibly damaging.
You know, I'm definitely guilty of this myself back in college. I was convinced that I needed a top-of-the-line laptop to be taken seriously as a professional.
You and everyone else.
Right. So I ended up putting myself in a ton of debt just to keep up appearances.
Oof, I've been there.
And looking back, it was such a silly purchase. That expensive laptop didn't magically make me more successful. It just added unnecessary financial stress.
And that's the thing. Appearances don't equate to success. True wealth isn't about the stuff you own. It's about the life you build. It's about having financial security, freedom of choice, and peace of mind.
It's about living a life aligned with your values, not someone else's expectations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how do we break free from that societal programming? How do we redefine success on our own terms?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question.
Well, it starts with a conscious shift in mindset. Imagine a culture where modesty is celebrated, where saving is cool, where authenticity trumps appearances every single time.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
What if saving money and living below your means was seen as a sign of intelligence and savvy rather than something to be ashamed of?
Wouldn't that be refreshing?
Absolutely.
Mm.
And what if we actually celebrated people who made conscious choices with their money, regardless of how much they had?
Exactly. It's about flipping the script on everything we've been told about wealth and success. It's about realizing that true wealth isn't about keeping up with the Joneses. It's about building a life that feels rich and fulfilling to you.
Okay, I'm totally on board with this vision, but how do we actually get there? How do we shift the culture and start living in a way that aligns with this new definition of wealth?
Well, it all starts with awareness. We need to start having open and honest conversations about money, about our values, about what truly matters to us.
And it's about financial literacy too, right?
Absolutely. Understanding things like budgeting, saving, investing, and making your money work for you, that's crucial.
So it's about empowerment, taking control of your finances instead of letting them control you.
Exactly. And I think community plays a huge role in this too. Imagine having a supportive network where people can openly discuss their financial goals, share tips, and normalize financial security without shame or judgment.
That would be amazing, a space where it's okay to say, hey, I'm choosing to live modestly because I'm prioritizing my long-term financial well-being,
Hmm.
or I'm excited about saving for early retirement, even if it means driving an older car.
Precisely, it's about breaking free from the need for external validation and focusing on what truly matters to you. It's about building a life that feels authentic and aligned with your own unique definition of success.
This is so refreshing. It's like a breath of fresh air in a world that's so obsessed with appearances and material possessions.
It's about reclaiming your power and choosing to live a life that feels rich and fulfilling on your own terms.
Okay, I'm already feeling inspired, but before we get too carried away with the big picture, let's get practical for a moment.
Yeah.
Where do we even begin to make this shift? How do we start looking poor in a way that actually leads to a richer life?
It all starts with awareness. Take a good, honest look at your current financial situation and spending habits. Ask yourself, where is my money going?
Yeah.
What am I spending on that truly brings me joy and value?
Right.
What am I spending on just to keep up appearances or impress others?
Okay, so it's about identifying those areas where maybe we're spending out of habit or social pressure rather than genuine need or desire.
Precisely. Once you've gained that awareness, you can start making intentional choices to shift your spending habits and align them with your values.
So if someone's listening to this and thinking, okay, I'm ready to make a change, what's one concrete step they can take today to start aligning their spending with their values and building a life of true wealth?
That's a great question. One simple but powerful step is to create a budget, and not just any budget, but a values-based budget.
A values-based budget, what does that mean?
It means taking the time to really reflect on what matters most to you in life. What are your core values? What are your long-term goals and aspirations?
Okay, so instead of just tracking your income and expenses, you're actually aligning your spending with what you truly care about.
Exactly. Once you've identified your core values and goals, you can start allocating your money in a way that supports those priorities.
For
For
example.
example, if travel is a top value for you, you might choose to cut back on eating out or buying new clothes so that you can save up for that dream trip.
I love that. It's about making conscious trade-offs
Yeah.
and prioritizing what truly matters to you.
And it's not about deprivation. It's about making choices that empower you to live a more fulfilling and meaningful life.
This whole values-based budgeting thing is really resonating with me. It feels like a really empowering way to take control of your finances and design a life that truly reflects who you are and what you care about.
Exactly. It's about shifting your mindset from scarcity to abundance, from I can't afford that to how can I make that happen?
You're right, it's about taking ownership of your financial well-being and creating a life that feels both abundant and aligned with your values. It's about recognizing that true wealth is not about the things you possess, but the experiences you create, the relationships you nurture, and the impact you make on the world.
That's beautifully said. It's about recognizing that money is simply a tool that can help you achieve your goals and live a life that is full of meaning and purpose.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. I'm feeling inspired to take a closer look at my own spending habits and start making some intentional shifts. But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I have one more question for you. We've talked about looking poor as a pathway to a richer life. But what about the flip side? What are some of the potential downsides or challenges of adopting this approach?
That's a great question, and it's important to acknowledge that there can be challenges.
Yeah.
One potential downside is that you might face judgment or criticism from others who don't understand your choices.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right, because we live in a society that often equates material possessions with success and worth.
Totally. So you might encounter people who question your decisions or make assumptions about your financial situation based on your outward appearance.
Exactly.
So it takes a certain level of confidence and self-assurance to stay true to your values when you're going against the grain of societal expectations.
Absolutely. It requires a strong sense of self and a willingness to prioritize your own values and goals over external validation.
And I imagine it can also be challenging to navigate social situations where spending money is expected, like going out to dinner with friends or buying gifts for special occasions.
Yes, that's another valid point. It requires open communication and a willingness to set boundaries. You might need to have conversations with your friends and family about your financial goals and explain why you're choosing to spend your money differently.
So it sounds like authenticity and open communication are key here.
They are. It's about being true to yourself and your values and being willing to have honest conversations with the people in your life about your choices.
This is all such valuable insight. I'm so grateful for your expertise and willingness to share these important perspectives with us.
Of course, my pleasure.
But for now, we're going to pause our deep dive right here.
Okay, sounds good.
When we come back, we'll delve into some practical steps you can take to embrace the look poor, live rich lifestyle. So grab a refill, take a breather, and we'll be back with you soon for part 2.
Looking forward to it. All right, so we're back and ready to dig into the practical side of this look poor, live rich thing.
Yeah, let's get into the nitty-gritty. How do we actually make this work?
Yeah.
What are the tangible steps we can take?
Okay, well, it all starts with becoming what I call a conscious consumer.
Conscious consumer.
Oh, okay.
I like that.
Yeah, and this doesn't mean you have to become a total penny pincher or deny yourself any joy.
Right, right.
It's more about being intentional with your spending,
Hmm.
really thinking about each purchase before you make it.
So asking yourself, do I really need this?
Exactly. Or is this something that truly aligns with my values and long-term goals? Or are you just getting caught up in the moment? Maybe feeling pressured by advertising or social media, or just that impulse to buy something shiny and new.
Oh yeah, those impulse buys can be dangerous.
Totally. And we all have our triggers, right?
Right.
Whether it's a sale you can't resist, or the latest gadget, or even just that fear of missing out.
Oh yeah, FOMO is real.
It is. And recognizing those patterns, what those triggers are, that's the first step toward breaking free from those impulsive spending habits.
Makes sense. So mindfulness is key. But what about those bigger expenses, the recurring costs that can really eat into our budget, like housing or transportation?
Absolutely. Those are great examples. And that's where it becomes even more crucial to really differentiate between your needs and your wants.
Okay, so like with housing, for example.
Yeah. Do you really need that massive house with all those extra rooms you rarely use? Or could you downsize to something smaller and more affordable and free up some of those resources to pursue other goals that are more aligned with your
Hmm.
values?
I never really thought about downsizing as a way to look poor, live rich, but it makes sense.
Right. It's not about depriving yourself. It's about right-sizing your life to fit your actual needs and values and freeing up resources to pursue your passions and live a more fulfilling life.
I love that. So it's not just about cutting back, it's also about finding creative ways to boost your income.
Exactly. Have you considered exploring a side hustle or freelancing or even starting a small business? Every extra dollar you earn is another step towards financial freedom.
So many possibilities.
So,
Okay, I'm taking notes here. We're being mindful consumers, questioning our needs versus wants, and exploring ways to boost our income. What other practical tips can you share?
all right, let's dive into a few more power moves that can make a difference.
Hit me with them.
Okay, first up, embrace the power of DIY.
Oh yes, DIY.
From cooking delicious meals at home to learning basic home repair skills, there are countless ways to save money and gain a sense of accomplishment.
Not to mention, it's super satisfying to create or fix something yourself.
Exactly. Plus, some of those skills you learn can even turn into side hustles themselves.
True, true.
Okay, what else?
Next up, let's talk about negotiation.
Oh,
Don't be afraid to haggle prices, ask for discounts, or shop around for better deals. You'd be surprised how much you can save just by being assertive and knowing your worth.
okay, full disclosure, haggling is not my strong suit. I always feel a little awkward asking for a lower price.
I get it, but the more you practice, the more comfortable you'll become. And remember, every dollar you save is a dollar you've earned, and those savings can really add up over time. That's a good point. Okay, so be a savvy negotiator. What else you got?
Okay, last but not least, I want to emphasize the importance of making friends with frugality.
Making friends with frugality. Okay, now that sounds intriguing. Tell me more.
Well, this isn't about deprivation or living a life of scarcity. It's about finding joy in simple pleasures and appreciating what you already have.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get it.
Eh.
So how do we actually make friends with frugality?
Well, think about it this way. Could you embrace secondhand shopping? Maybe host potluck dinners with friends instead of always hitting those expensive restaurants. Or how about exploring free or low-cost entertainment options like local parks, hiking trails, community events?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Hmm.
It's about being resourceful and finding creative ways to have fun and connect with people without breaking the bank.
Exactly. True wealth isn't about the number of designer handbags or fancy gadgets you own. It's about the richness of your experiences, the quality of your relationships, and the depth of your personal growth.
You know what's so inspiring about this whole looking poor, living rich philosophy is that it's not about fitting into a certain mold or following a rigid set of rules. It's about creating a lifestyle that reflects your own unique values and priorities.
Absolutely. It's about reclaiming your power, designing a life that feels authentic and meaningful, and saying yes to the things that truly matter to you.
I love that it's about freedom and choice.
It is, and it's about recognizing that you have everything you need to live a rich and fulfilling life right now.
This conversation is giving me so much to think about. I'm feeling inspired to simplify my life and focus on what truly brings me joy.
That's the magic of conscious consumerism. And that's how looking poor can actually lead to a richer, more fulfilling life. But hold on, we're not done yet. There's still more to unpack.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm ready for part 3. And we're back for the final part of our deep dive into looking poor, living rich. You know, it's funny. I started this conversation feeling a little skeptical, but honestly, I'm kind of blown away by how much this whole idea has resonated with me.
Yeah. It's powerful stuff, right? It
Well,
really challenges those deep-seated beliefs we have about wealth and success.
it does. And I think it's so important to have these conversations,
Yeah.
to question those assumptions and really think about what we're chasing in life.
Totally. So before we wrap up, I'm curious, what are some of the most common misconceptions people have about this stealth wealth approach? What kind of pushback have you encountered out there in the real world?
Hmm, that's a good question. I think one of the biggest hurdles is that people often confuse looking poor with being cheap. You know,
Ah, yeah.
like they assume you're unwilling to enjoy life's pleasures or that you're being miserly.
Right. They might think you're just trying to hoard your money or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But as we've discussed, it's not about denying ourselves joy. It's about finding joy in different, more meaningful ways.
It is. It's about being intentional with your spending so you can prioritize those things that truly matter to you.
Like experiences and relationships.
Exactly. Those things that bring lasting happiness, not just that fleeting thrill of a new purchase.
I think another misconception is that looking poor is somehow dishonest or deceptive, like you're trying to hide your wealth or mislead people about your financial status.
Yeah, I've heard that one too. But for most people who embrace this lifestyle, it's not about deception at all. It's about authenticity.
Right.
It's about choosing to live in a way that feels true to themselves and their values without feeling pressure to conform to those external expectations.
It's like saying, this is what matters to me, and I'm not going to apologize for it.
Exactly. It's about owning your choices and living in alignment with your values, regardless of what others might think or expect.
It takes confidence for sure.
It does. It takes a strong sense of self to break free from those societal pressures.
Okay, so we've debunked some misconceptions now. Let's shift gears and talk about the benefits, the long-term benefits of this stealth wealth approach.
Yeah.
What are some of the positive ripple effects that people experience when they start to shift their mindset and their spending habits?
Well, one of the most obvious and immediate benefits is reduced financial stress.
Oh yeah, big time.
Right. When you're not constantly worried about keeping up with the Joneses or feeling the pressure to buy the latest and greatest, you just feel this sense of peace and security wash over you.
It's like a weight has been lifted.
Exactly. And that peace of mind opens up so many possibilities.
Yeah, like what?
Well, maybe you can finally take that dream trip or go back to school or even retire early.
Ooh, early retirement.
Ah,
That's the dream.
right. The possibilities are endless when you're not weighed down by debt or excessive expenses.
You're not tied to a job you hate just to make ends meet.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
about creating a life of abundance.
Not in a materialistic sense.
Right. Not just about stuff. It's about abundance in terms of experiences, opportunities, and personal fulfillment.
I love that reframing abundance in experiences, not things.
It is. It's about recognizing that true wealth isn't about what you have, but what you do with what you have.
It's about using your resources wisely and intentionally to create a life that's rich in meaning and purpose.
Beautifully said. So, as we wrap up this conversation, what's the one thing you're taking away from this whole looking poor, living rich idea?
What's really stuck with me is this idea of reclaiming our power. We have the power to define wealth on our own terms. We don't have to let society dictate our choices or tell us what success looks like.
Yes, that's what it's all about. It's about freedom and choice. It's about living intentionally and creating a life that truly reflects who we are and what we value.
And it's about recognizing that true wealth is already within our reach. It's not about chasing some external marker of success. It's about cultivating a sense of inner richness and fulfillment.
That's so true. It's about focusing on the things that truly matter, the things that money can't buy, like love, connection, purpose, and joy.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Well, this has been an incredible conversation, so insightful and thought-provoking.
I agree. It's been a pleasure exploring these ideas with you.
Likewise. And to our listeners, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into looking poor, living rich. We hope this conversation has sparked some new ideas and inspired you to rethink your relationship with money and embrace the freedom that comes with defining wealth on your own terms.
So remember, true wealth is not about keeping up with the Joneses. It's about creating a life that feels rich and meaningful to you.
And that's a wrap for this episode of Life Unfiltered. Until next time, keep it real. Keep it honest and keep questioning everything.